CPA Evance Oguto, whom I hail from Migori County, have been very vocal in terms of youth leadership and the need for our youth to be involved in policy decisions that affect both national and county government. It is very clear to us as young people what is going on at the national level and in extension at county level. But history is very important. Where did this rain start beating us? And what are the particular issues of the young people like us? And what is prompting the young people to participate in the demonstration that is ongoing across the country? Remember, when President Ruto took over power on the 9th of August of 2022, he got a maiden budget which was primarily a budget which was under the administration of Uhuru Kenyatta. So it wasn't his budget. When he came into power, he said that the budget as is was bloated and there was a lot of wastages that was put in budget. I remember a direction given to the CS Treasury to reduce that very budget with almost close to over 300 billion so that the budget can be lean and it can be something that can be afforded. And we said, well, this is good because maybe the wastages that were being done by the previous administration will be dealt with by the new administration. But I remember it didn't take long before he came back and said that that budget needs to be upped again. And you see that budget moved again upward from the initial position. So as young people, we were very surprised on why you're taking a position and within a short period you are changing that position. Now when it came to the first budget, which was we call Ruto's budget under the bottom-up economic transformation agenda, he said that the bottom-up economic transformation agenda was targeting the low-income earner, yule mama mboga, from that very grassroots to the rich. So we knew that very model of budgeting will focus on how to make sure you empower the young people who are primarily jobless, the traders who are not so well in terms of finances, in terms of how to improve their businesses. So what happened? We saw a budget and we were so surprised that it had a huge deficit that required external financing, both from domestic and domestic revenue and foreign borrowing. And that was not very, very, very good for us. So what did we do? So this is what we did. Number one, we checked the revenue streams in which he was going to look at that very budget as a young people. So what are the revenue streams? Those revenue streams are anchored in what we call a finance bill. That very finance bill is what prompted the reaction of the opposition. And 2023-2024 reaction came from a political faction. It was headed by the Right Honorable Raila Odinga. And we joined as young people because what were we joining for? It was a clear indication that what we were looking at issues to reduce the cost of living and to amend the sections of the finance bill which were, in our view, no proper public participation was done. What were the issues that we had during 2023-2024? One, we had the issues of increasing the VAT of fuel from 8% to 16%. And we were not very happy with it. But the government came up with policy and said we are standardizing the issues of VAT. And you see that passed. A lot of other issues. We remember that was the time of the introduction of what we call a house levy. And of course, people said this is not the right framework of this, but the president said he had it in his agenda that is going to increase and put jobs. A lot of young people are going to get job opportunities. And then we said, because he has a vision on this, we can just allow him go through that process. But now, that didn't end well because it was a protest that costed a life of about 75 people who are young. And that is what informed the NADCO. Our young people, when NADCO was established, and it was chaired by Kalonzo Musyoka and Kimani Chungwa, among other people of the opposition like the minority leader of the National Assembly, Opiyo Wandayi. We knew the first agenda would be the cost of living. But when they went there, they were told cost of living is not an issue of opposition. And you see, if it is now opposition and government, then we as young people, where are we left? Yeah? This agenda was dropped. And when it was dropped, we thought because Baba was fighting for the young people, he will walk out or he will tell the faction of the opposition, which we really followed, to walk out of the NADCO meeting because the cost of living was what was primary for us. But that didn't happen. So they came up with other resolution like the IBC, which is now assented to, among other resolution, which they knew will benefit the country in the long run. But what was so urgent for the young people? The cost of living, the job opportunities for the young people were the primary things that we thought were going to be discussed. And that dropped. And you remember when the issue was published, you were told, as young people united, that the cost of living is now no longer going to be an issue. So what we are going to do, let us accept what we have accepted. And that kind of framework did not bring up youth together because it was being fronted from a political faction. So politicians from the opposition and politicians from the government say, no, this is a deal to overthrow government, which was not the primary objective of the young people. Now fast forward, when 2024-2025 finance bill came in, and we had seen what happened during the NADCO, we said, if this issue is fronted by a political faction, it will head nowhere. So this is an issue of young people advocating for their interests and the change that they want in government. And that was it. And that is why we said there is no need of having a politician at war front. And that is why we said, because we had Baba leading that faction of anti-protest of Finance Bill 2023, and he was a leader, it was branded that all people that supported that very demonstration were people affiliated with Baba. We said, no, we are not Baba. We are leaderless. We are tribeless. We don't have a common leader because we had seen from history of what happened. And that informed the issues of the demonstration in 2024-2025 finance bill. And that is why we are saying the way it was framed, it is even worse than the one of 2023-2024. This was targeting even property tax. Taxation should be based on the revenue income that you're getting, not the property you've already purchased after tax. You know, we read from history that one of the issues that caused the current administration to run out from the whites who are colonizing us was the issue of property tax, or the hat tax, where they were even taxing houses. But property tax, even if you have a motor vehicle which is not doing anything, it's just taking your children to school, you know, that the element of property tax of introducing a motor vehicle. Bread for some of us are not luxury. If you take your child to school, in those primary schools and secondary, what can easily be affordable for the schools is bread. If you introduce VAT on it, you say no, bread is a luxury. You know, nowadays, for you to gather this farm produce and then use them in school is a long process. If you look at the economies of scale, it's better to use the bread, which is far much affordable. Even the young people in urban centers, what they can afford for 50 shillings to take their breakfast as they go to the various mjengos are bread. So we saw that element of property tax. We saw which is a motor vehicle tax. We saw the issue of bread tax, which we said. We saw the issues of the eco-levy, which was even introduced in issues of wheelbarrows, which we are using in farms. We said, now this is not the best framework on how to raise revenue in terms of the finance bill. So we said, because we had allowed 2023-2024, even though we didn't agree with it, but NADCO had killed it. So let this not be amended, but rejected. That came at a time when several members had brought in amendments to the National Assembly. And I remember there was a parliamentary group meeting at State House. The issue was amend but do not reject. But the general public view and the young people was, please reject, do not amend. So that so happened, but at what price? It happened when a lot of young people lost their lives. And these are the issues that brought in the element of Ruto must go. So when we say Ruto must go as young people, what were we looking at? And that is why we are being conceived, and that is why the political factions are uniting against the war of the young people. Yeah? When we say Ruto must go, what next? What are we talking about? And what next? Yeah? What next for political faction? They say if Ruto goes or resigns, then Gachagua takes over, then Gachagua will implement these policies. We are not comfortable with Gachagua and things like that. That is far from what the young people are advocating for. What were the agendas of the young people? The young people are saying, number one, the cabinet are structured now, and the opulence and the wastages that are being seen by the young people, they had lost faith in the current cabinet. So Ruto must go means Ruto change the status quo of what is happening, and Ruto bring in new changes by ensuring that strategically, if you have a corrupt person at the helm, even if even if the policies are good, but the person's mind is corrupt, he will still find a way to corrupt that very system. So kindly change in terms of the administrative structure or the CSS so that we can have a lean team. That was the Ruto must go. The second issue we said that CSS are not accounting officers. Accounting officers are the PSS. Yeah. If they were able to work closely with these CSS and those opulences, the CS cannot get any fund without an approval from a PS. Yeah. Then we didn't have a lot of faith even in the PS. Ruto must go meant, please readjust the budget to make it lean, affordable for our taxes, so that we can realize revenue which we can afford. Large part of the budget as is was about issues of travels and wastages and offices that were not established in the constitution, which were having a lot of funds allocated to it. So Ruto must go was, please readjust the budget, do an order to the CS Treasury so that a circular be done so that our budget can be as lean as possible, both at national and at county level. That was what we were meaning of what we wanted change. And that is why the young people are saying, as far as what we have said is concerned, there is no need of dialogue, is an action. It means they were not things which were very far-fetched. They were things which were within reach of the national government and the presidency.
And at the same time, you find that the youths invaded parliament, and parliament have MPs who should be representing youth. So there's talk that the first complaint about the rest of them is that the MPs were not necessarily protected, but then Ruto satisfied the cabinet by surplus. Do you feel that the MPs did not do enough as a representative of the people?
You know, many a times the members of parliament have assumed powers which is not primarily theirs. Those powers belong to the common mwananchi. It's delegated for representation. It means just like any other person, you can nominate one of you to represent your views. But in an event that you realize that that person is not representing your views, is not representing your interests, then you no longer have the legitimacy. What are the functions of a member of parliament? One, representation. Whose interests are they representing? The common mwananchi. Kenya is a democracy. A democracy is a majority rule, and a minority interest and majority rule. What do we mean? When members of the public whom you represent have told you a position, a democracy allows you to abide with the majority rule, not your own rule. That is why it's a democracy. So members fail in issues of representation. Number two is legislation. That's a function of a member of parliament. What are those laws that they are passing? Are they in the interest of common mwananchi and the young people? That is where we were. A bill was to become an act. An act is a law. Sources of law is constitution, an act of parliament, among any other laws. So when the members of parliament pass a law which is not to the best interest of common mananchi, we said no. And that is where we are. So members of parliament failed terribly. But you see, from the beginning, we told two factions of parliament, both the majority and the minority. We told them our position, we are united in one thing: the finance bill as framed is wrong. What do? We agreed, and in fact, this was the agreement that number one, reject. We really applauded the minority side of National Assembly by voting no. Yeah,
No, they removed amendments.
they removed the amendments to the amendment they had introduced in the bill. They dropped the amendment and rejected and voted no. We said reject, do not amend. That was the position of young people, and the faction of the minority did so well, and we knew they are now understanding what we are saying. Are you seeing? That was where there was a gap between the members of parliament and the members of the public, and that is why we said when young people invaded parliament and even took mess in tradition of all assemblies, mess is a symbol of authority. It means people, the young people took back their power. That is the literal meaning. It means they had no faith anymore with the National Assembly.
If you look at the economies which are developing, there's a need for calling of snap elections. It happened in United Kingdom, and the PM left. And there have been call of having a sort of a by-election or a snap. Do you think Kenya should be considering that?
You know, as young people, we are informed on the framework of the constitution. We know what needs to happen and at what level. Number one, members of parliament failed, but we must abide with the constitution. Yeah, we are not just revolutionists or people who don't understand what the constitution say. One, it is in order to recall a member of parliament. Recalling a member of parliament is provided for the procedures. But one thing which is very important is that there must be an establishment of an IBC where you take your signatures or why the reasons why you want that members of parliament recalled. So we will explore all those avenues for some of us who are not very comfortable with the members of parliament, especially those that do not advocate for the interest of the young people. So that is what happened, and that is why the young people invaded parliament. So the way we are now we've reached a level where the last election was a very competitive election. It was an election where the president won with about 7 million votes, and the Baba also was having around 6.8 million votes, isn't it? It means at all point they had divided the country almost into two equal factions. Yeah, so when they have come together and said that there is need for dialogue, and because of what next, for us, we think what next is too fast to talk about now, because there were certain things that we wanted done before dialogue.
But
Yeah.
there was dialogue where young people had to talk, and it has not picked up so far.
Yeah, we had a conversation with the president in X Space. Yeah, a very solid conversation. Yeah, and immediately after that is when we had the first faction, the first agenda of dialogue when they were signing the IBC bill into law to be an act amendment. Yeah, and that is when we had there was need of that dialogue. But from that came even before the sacking of the cabinet secretaries. But we said no. I think there are those steps that the president can do first, even before it enter into dialogue. Now, this issue of this kind of a narration that is coming up that the young people want the president out and they do not want change, yeah, that is a narrative that is being driven by a political faction. Their interest is they want this thing to be seen as a coup. It is not a coup. What the young people are saying is very clear. The budget as is allows for a lot of wastages. Please remove. Yeah? The representation as is allows for a lot of bloatages and allows for a lot of people to earn salary from government in the expense of opportunities which are able to provide for the young people. Those are the issues that the young people are saying. Those issues are very fundamental. They are saying the structures is the number of the permanent secretaries and the way they've been recruited do not reflect the image of Kenya. The young people want those changes made. Yeah. The young people do not want to associate themselves with the caste positions. The young people want the governors to be held accountable with all the reports that are being done by the control of budget, by the reports that are being done by the office of the Auditor General, by the reports that are being done by Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. Those are the issues that the young people are talking about. Now, let me ask a very simple question. Two political factions meet and they say there is stability that they want. Of course, um, as young people, we've not been consulted, and our views. Where is our views? Who is going to implement? The reason why we had issues with this is because of the kind of information we were getting from the NADCO meeting being chaired by both Kalonzo and Imani. They said,
The NATCO meeting was over negotiation regarding this.
yes, and that is why they are saying that issues of cost of living was not an issue of them, it was an issue of government.
Governments.
Good.
They failed.
Now, we have issues we want, isn't it? But when they approach the government told them, no, we can't get this route. Are you seeing? Now, if they fail to advocate or reach the interests of the young people, what next? Then they are asking us what next after Ruto must go. We are asking them what next if you don't reach the levels that we want you to do what? To reach.
So you feel that if Raila and Ruto have an alliance, the youth will be left off it?
As at now, the interest of the common, the young people, I have not heard, read anywhere where they have said, because this was an agenda driven by the young people, there is no single time they have said that these are the agendas we are lining for you as young people. They are saying we need to have a conversation as a country.
Not as young people.
You know, that is the point. Have a conversation with us. We are not deaf. We are having a listening ear. Have a conversation with us. Do not hijack the process.
And one, are you satisfied with the changes given by Ruto so far?
Well, so far he's done the much he can do. He's a politician who is very calculative. He must also protect the political interest that he has. He made a very bold move, which we say it's okay for sacking the CSS. We've told him we're not very comfortable with the PSS. We've told him the changes we want in terms of the budget, both at national and county level. He said now we need to have a conversation. Maybe because he don't want to take those decisions as an individual holding the position of power. Maybe he wants to take those positions as a position that is inclusive of mass. Yeah. So we give him a benefit of doubt. So far he's done one step.
And now he's about
The only issue we are against is this faction of some people thinking that they are now they are sacked CSS. Now this is their time to get back to power. That is one thing that we are against.
So, like you are talking about composition of the cabinet.
Yes.
What should Ruto consider?
You know, Ruto should consider experts. They are highly educated people who are technocrats. They know what they are doing. Any conversation he's having should be a conversation to the common interest of the young people and the general public, not composition of political interest. That is what young people are against. They are saying, no, we are seeing that those people have seen, oh, there is opportunity of about 10 or 15 cabinet secretaries, or even 20. Let's regroup and take this position. That is a position that we are going to fight to the last breath. We are telling them, and as young people, the president, let the president consult with technocrats, consult with the organizations that are responsible, look through
Now we
the
are
background, and then come up with what is in benefit of common mwananchi.
among the demonstration we have about the Gen Z. We had issues about they invaded the judiciary, they invaded the parliament, they tried to push Ruto through, and then we have also seen that the demonstrations now have been coming into counties. We have some complaints about county government. In fact, even the president himself has talked about it, and even written a letter to the ministry to release some funding in the counties. What message do you have to youths who are in the counties, and what
The,
leadership should counties be comfortable with?
the truth, what we are telling the young people that let's prepare for hard times ahead. The reason is when the political factions group together, we are left in isolation. We are left not even to say a word. We, they will do everything that makes them happy. We are not very comfortable with the administration of county governments the way it is. We have seen the reports that are being given by the constitutional commissions and offices. The control of budget says there's a lot of wastages at county level. The auditor general says the same. We are seeing the opulence and the wastages and the kind of lifestyle of the people that are occupying the county government offices. Yeah, not only to the counties that we come from, but cut across. So one, we applaud the president for taking the bold step by ensuring that there is a budget cut. But our interest is not even budget cut at county level, because county receives about 11% of the budget, the entire budget. Because the entire budget is about 3.9 trillion now. The county is about 441 billion. That's about 10 or 11%. Our interest is, if you receive that money, put it into good use. We don't have a problem with it. Don't put so much money into your office that allows for a lot of wastages. Budget is stolen from formulation stage. Approval at a county assembly or even the national assembly, then the members of parliament does very little on that very budget. If it is stolen from the conception if it is stolen from the conception of budget making process at policy level, then it is stolen to the end. Because if I allocate myself 50 million for my travel and I spend the entire 49 million in travel, I shall be still within the framework because I stole it from the beginning. We must stop that. So to allow us advocate for more funds to come to county, please realign the program and the budget lines on things that interest the county government. Do not put those things into offices for you to have a luxury and the kind of wastages you are seeing. Number two, let us embrace an accrual accounting concept. This Okay, thank you very much. My name is CPA Evance Oguto, whom I hail from Migori County. I've been very vocal in terms of youth leadership and the need for our youth to be involved in policy.
They are partyless, and then they are leaderless. And then we have election issues coming to them.
The Generation Z are saying they are tribeless, they are leaderless because of one factor. They have all gone to school. Most of them are graduate. There is no opportunity for them. In fact, we see that sometimes when the politicians attend their graduation ceremony, tell them very bluntly that we don't have opportunities for you. Where do you want such young people to go to? That is why they are saying we are tribalized, we are leaderless. We don't want, and I see, even if there is an intelligence that some NGOs are sponsoring violence, some of us will condemn any person who can sponsor such violence. This thing is not supposed to be sponsored by anybody. So what we want to tell the political factions that are grouping, that of course you can go ahead with it. We are not talking about what next. We are talking about the changes that we wanted made. And we knew that the president is competent enough to make those changes, even without dialogue.